Okay, guys, I'm doing this on the fly and unscripted, but I wanted to talk about, or at least respond to a couple of reviews that happened today and over this past couple of days. And that was the reviews by Voice of Reason and Thespio with the recent At the Screening, which premiered today, and Map, aka Miss Anthropony's review and take on Dragon Dropped. And just like anybody out there, they have a right to their opinions and how they interpret how the episode went. First of all, let's talk about Map. We know Map has always not been the biggest fan of the Disparity ship. And, you know, that's his right. If he doesn't feel it should be something that exists, so be it. But the one thing he did not say, and I was surprised by this, he did not say that the Disparity ship was done. He did, in fact, acknowledge that Gabby the Griffin, was not brought in as a new love interest. And that basically the way the relationship between Spike and Rarity was done after this, or went forward after this, was more of a balanced situation. But again, Anthropony did not say Disparity was done. He just looked at it from his interpretation of it's more balanced out. Now, to kind of counter that or go along with it, when Thespio and Voice did their review, Thespio tried to find a little bit more humor, trying to find the positives in the episode. And Thespio did acknowledge somewhat, or in his own kind of way, that Disparity was not done either. It was still there. In fact, the crush and the affection that Spike has for Rarity is not like it used to be. Basically, it's still there, but it's not as prevalent like in earlier seasons, and that it only shows up or is necessary or at least nodded to and Easter egged to or referenced to when the story calls for it. Good examples are Meltdown, Breakup Breakdown, Best Gift Ever, Mid-Season 9 finale Between Dark and Dawn, Summer Sun Setback, and then potentially, if you believe anything, what's to come in the next several weeks. Potentially. Not saying anything else than that. But yeah, he basically said that it's still, basically in his own way, he kind of sees that it's still there, the crush and the affection that Spike has for Rarity. He still sees that it exists and is there, but he doesn't see it as something that was prevalent as in earlier seasons, but now is more balanced out to where it can come, at any time when the story calls for it, or have its moments when the story calls for it as an acknowledgement, reference, a nod, you name it. Voice, on the other hand, I was surprised. He's still a I guess maybe Voice is still somewhat of a Disparity supporter, but not like he used to be. He's kind of more along the lines of, if there's a potential ship that could be a little bit more balanced out in his mind than that of Spike and Rarity, he's all for it. If it's something between Smolder and Spike that he sees, he's good. He wants that to happen. He sees that as more balanced out. If he sees something with Gabby and Spike, he's all for that. You can see that in the review here. But the one thing he wasn't too much of a fan of was the way Rarity reacted here, which Thespio was able to counter with a very unique perspective. You see, Thespio countered by saying that the way Rarity reacted was that of a girlfriend catching or believing her other half, her boyfriend, her love interest, cheating on her with another woman. Yeah, that's the scenario. That's kind of the metaphor or the example Thespio used. That basically Rarity reacted in a similar manner of thinking she's going to get dumped on someone else and never be paid attention to again or given the time of day or night from Spike. So by giving that kind of perspective on how he saw Rarity react, Thespio kind of acknowledged what some fans already looked at as being the metaphor of this episode. Even though the message was, even if somebody makes a new friend and hangs out with them, doesn't mean they're going to stop being your friend, and that your friendship's still going to go on, and they'll still find time to spend with you. No, it's not, basically when Thespio said what he did, and like I said, I'm doing this unscripted on the fly, and I'm doing it after work, of course. But when Thespio said what he did, by using that analogy, that perspective of the girlfriend thinking that her boyfriend is cheating on her with another woman and she doesn't want to lose him kind of deal. Basically, that plays into what a lot of fans looked at as being the low-key metaphor of this episode. The fact that it wasn't, like I said, an episode where the message was, no matter what happens between you and your friend, whether or not one of you goes on and makes new friends, that your friendship's still going to continue because you'll always find time for each other. By basically making that analogy, Thespio kind of threw his name in the hat of those that saw the fact that beneath the friendship lesson, or the friendship moral, is the fact, or the synopsis for the story, the plot, is the fact that you have a love triangle here. Not not just friends, one friend upset or worried that, the other friend's going to dump them for somebody else and never spend time with them and the friendship's going to be over deal. No. Again, when Thespio made that analogy, he basically threw his hat in the ring by acknowledging that what a lot of people saw this as a metaphor as. And that is a love triangle. Because a lot of people called Josh Haber out about that. They basically pointed out that what Haber did here was very metaphorically make a love triangle scenario happen with Spike, Rarity, and Gabby, even though to cover it up, it was focused more on, hey, friends, you're never going to lose your friends, even if they go and make some new friends. So yeah, Thespio, the Wilsonator, he even sees the fact that, hey, this is more than just an episode about, learning about sharing friends and realizing your friendship's never going to be gone. If somebody makes new friends, they're always going to always find time to spend with you. Even Thespio notices, that's the message you're trying to get across, but we kind of see what you're doing here, Josh. We kind of see what you're pulling. That's fine. That's cool. I mean, heck, he even joked about the fact that now that out of the whole scenario, Spike's the real winner because he has two girls that want to spend personal time with him. But that's Del Wilsonator for you. That's Thespio for you. What are you going to do? Anyway, though, again, him, Voice, Map, they all have their own personal interpretations on how they saw the episode go, and I respect that. I respect that because one thing I will say, and a lot of Sparity supporters, and believe me, there's a majority, even Map, Thespio, and Voice will agree that there's a majority of Sparity supporters out there. The one thing all of them will agree on is that at least these three did not come out or come straight out and said, yeah, the Sparity ship's over or the Sparity ship is sunk. They didn't say that. They just looked at the fact that, the evolution with the relationship between Spike and Rarity has begun, and it's gone and taken another step to being more balanced out. But it's like Thespio pointed out. Even though that's kind of what it looks like in the end. That kind of looks like in the end. It's still up to interpretation. The ship is still there. I mean, when they were doing the review, Thespio basically used, after he said, hey, Spike's the real winner, he gets both, he has both Gabby and Rarity wanting to be have personal time with him. What line does he throw in there? What scene? The ending scene with Pinky going, oh, so that's how it works, kind of deal. I mean, come on. Thespio, give the man credit, give the brony credit, sees exactly what a lot of us sees. He sees, like I mentioned earlier, the metaphor of what this episode really was about. But the friendship thing was to the friendship lesson kind of tried to cover that. So, anyway, in conclusion, guys, I know I sounded like I rambled a bit. Like I said, this is unscripted, on the fly, and it's after work. I can't argue with anything they said. I respect their opinion. I really do. I mean, I know when Golden Fox gets to this episode and starts reviewing it, I'm sure he'll have stuff to say. And I'm sure when KP and Sweetie Bloom get to it, and Silver Quill and Lightning Bliss, I'm sure they'll have stuff to say. And maybe they'll see exactly what Thespio sees. Maybe they'll acknowledge Sparity's still basically alive and well. It's just the reason they went in this direction or went this way is because of this and that. We'll have to wait and see what they got up their sleeves. But hey, maybe even if she's listening, Fiora, if she ever does a review or even kind of give her take on it, who knows? But let me know what you guys all think down below. And heck, maybe even Aramount and Firebrand, aka Josh Scorcher, will give their thoughts down the line. But anyway, let me know what you guys all think about the reviews that Map and Thespio and Voice did, and what your thoughts are on what they had to say about the episode, and what do you think the other Analysis Rift Cafe members will have to say down the line when they get to it. So that's all I'm going to say. And Map, Thespio, Voice, good work, guys. Loved hearing what you had to say on this episode. And Thess, Dal Wilsonator, you really brought it. You could see, honestly, through the whole scenario of what Josh Haber was trying to do. So credit where credit is due. Look forward to the rest of the At the Screening reviews. And can't wait to see what you guys have to say about a horseshoe when you get to it. And I wonder who Will and Voice are going to bring in to help them out with that. So until next time, guys, God bless. Take care. I am out.